Gentleman yields back. I'm not going to recognize myself for 5 minutes. And thank you, Mr. Correa. I think you got us kind of back on the right track here for what we were trying to accomplish today, which was just to have a discussion and expose what's going on and has started in Europe, which some members of this committee were exposed to on a congressional trip that happened this past summer in Brussels and then in London and in Dublin, where it was very clear to me, after meeting with those that had created the DMA or similar types of bureaucratic structures, that there's 8 major platforms. 7 of the 8 were created here in the States, and many of them Mr. Correa's district. And all I had to do was hear the first conversation with the counsel, with the attorney for Apple, who said the issue is, and very frustrated by this, is that these European commissions that are creating these DMAs, it is a situation where it's a moving target, always a moving target. So once they think they're in compliance, they will get another letter saying you're in violation, and oftentimes a violation that, quite honestly, they disagree with. And then beyond that, what you would see is this level of frustration on something that we just spoke about, which was how they were going to levy fines on these American corporations. 2% of global revenue. It's ridiculous what they're actually doing. And the 27 countries of the EU, who are now floundering on many different fronts, and there's always this affinity with the EU, but quite honestly, they're not able to compete with the states. So what they're doing is trying to carve out a space for some of these platforms that may have had a little bit of success or small successes, so that they can try and flourish. Well, that's not the way it works, and it's not going to work that way. So that's what I was hoping this discussion would be about today. We have a real problem with the EU on this front, and it's up to us, I think, as members of Congress. And, I know the administration has taken a lot of bullets here today, but, it also is a responsibility for the executive branch to do the same thing. And that may have been missed here today. Mr. Singham, I want to ask you specifically, if I could, to move on. The Korea Fair Trade Commission, which we are now concerned is kind of doing the same thing that we're seeing in Europe. Can you give us, because you've estimated that South Korea's targeting of American companies, it could cost us trillions in economic costs, and then South Korea could potentially lose out on as much as $450 billion if it continues kind of down the same road. What's your overall perspective about what's going on in Korea when it comes to fair trade right now?
So I think, Chairman, what you're seeing in Korea is there's one element of this, which is that the DMA, the European Digital Markets Act, is the model that is sort of being spread around the world. Korea is a particular battleground. Japan, Brazil, Australia, the UK, others are following suit. I think it's based on a fundamentally flawed model that we've described, earlier here. But what the Korean case shows is it's not just the regulation approach to the digital platforms, it's also what the KFTC is doing. And our economic model that we wrote about in this book actually picks up these procedural irregularities. So the lack of predictable environment that you referred to with the counsel, I think from Apple you mentioned, that sort of thing is incredibly chilling, because what happens is companies don't know what they can do. Competition is not a tea party. It is a brutal exercise, and actually the efficiency gains and the wealth creation that comes from competition comes because of that, really brutal competitive process. It isn't a tea party. And when these companies don't know what they're supposed to do, they pull their punches and they don't do anything. They don't innovate, they don't develop. And that's what you're seeing in Europe, and that's what you're seeing in Korea. And that's why the cost is so high.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.